Okay, so what have I just hit? I'll grab the other one. In fact, before we go into what I've just hit, let's just explain where I am. Hotel or Almenara Golf Resort in southern Spain, Sota Grande area. I've got waterproof jacket on, it's windy, it's wet, it's rainy. I could well be somewhere in the UK right now. But anyway, what are we doing? I am reviewing the M3 and M4 sets of irons. Out on the course, getting you some hands-on feedback. People are a little bit tired of dry ball data. When I say tired of it, we know these are powerhouses in terms of what they're going to do in terms of distance. There's skepticism about, yes, they're long, they're strongly lofted, they won't hold greens. So they're the I want to see what happens out on the course, and that's why I'm here today. I've just stuck 2 8-irons, one with the M3, one with the M4. I've stuck them extremely well, and I've got a feeling they're quite close to the flag. If the camera is working as it should be, we've got a camera planted on the green, and we'll see how they've reacted. So that's the first thing I want to have a look at, and then we're going to talk about the technology that's packed into these clubs. Okay, so M3 and M4 irons, both deemed as game improvement irons, both strongly lofted, both slightly differently lofted. I'll throw those up now. You can see the balls have landed, irrelevant of the slight change in loft. They finished in exactly the same positions on the green. Two of the best iron shots I've hit in a long while, certainly on camera. Only 8-iron in hand, but the first thing to note about these strongly lofted game improvement irons that are generally low spinning as they're supposed to be, they don't hold greens. They seem to have fizzed back to me. First pitch mark is here. You can see almost a line in the dew, hopefully is where that one's actually zipped back to, and the second pitch mark is just here, and it's spun off to the left hand side. The interesting thing for me is that I tested some game improvement irons, as they call them, strongly lofted lower spinning irons in the UK in October, sort of seeing the same results really, that yeah, they do hold greens. They're coming down at such a steep land angle that they're still holding greens, irrelevant to the low spin. There was a criticism then that it was UK and it was soft greens. We're out in southern Spain. Yes, the greens, they're not rock hard, but they're plenty hard enough. They're plenty much like the greens that you and I play on a regular basis. And yet again, it shows that, okay, only 8-iron in hand, but so far the M3 and M4 held greens, in fact spun back. And let's talk about, first of all, about the strikes themselves. Very, very nice indeed. Yes, they were good shots. I was more than happy with them. Both clubs felt really, really good in the hand. Anyway, first part of the test done. Let's move on. Okay, so just to note, first ball struck with M4, second ball struck with M3. I'm going to have a look down there. I can't see exactly where they finished, but I would think ball flight again was very, very similar, and also landing area I think is very similar, even though the lofts again are slightly different on these two clubs. So that's very interesting. Just let's talk about aesthetics about these two clubs first of all. I'll throw some images of both up on screen now. For me, both the M3 and M4 are a massive improvement on last year's looks. I think they're a lot more refined in the looks, a bit more subdued. I wasn't keen on the sort of lime green colour that was with the M1 and M2, and I really like the looks, particularly of the M3. I think it's a great looking iron, to be fair, and the M4 for me a little bit too chunky, but again, that's for me personally. I just want to talk quickly about where these clubs sit and who they're aimed at. There'll be a lot of people who are already getting a bee in a bonnet about strongly lofted clubs, and I think you've got to remember that these clubs are aimed at a particular player and a particular market with a particular handicap. And I think it's fair to say, if you've got a slower swing speed, if you struggle to launch the ball, then these type of clubs are going to help you. So they might not be for everybody, maybe not strongly lofted clubs are for everybody, but they are for a lot of golfers out there, and it will provide a great deal of enjoyment and satisfaction, and people will be able to enjoy the game a bit more with these type of clubs in their hands. So I haven't got an issue with strongly lofted irons, I'm afraid. So, and the way these clubs perform, I've hit quite a few shots now around the course. in their own right as a set of irons, whichever way you look at it, whether you class them game improvement irons or just a set of irons, they perform very, very well. There seems a lot of assistance across the club face. I'm an average golfer. I don't consistently get the ball struck out the middle of these irons, but they still seem to be doing very, very well indeed. It's almost as if you need to be, reviewers are, they almost want you to criticise these clubs at the moment from TaylorMade, and I'm afraid I'm not prepared to do that, because you as a consumer will decide whether you want to buy them, and the argument is how often they release clubs. Is that something you've got to decide? But as a reviewer, I'm going to review these clubs on their own merits, and they perform very, very well indeed. Both of them, both sets. I've got no qualms whatsoever. I've struck some fantastic balls that you'll see on camera that I'm more than happy with, and with my swing, planting these irons onto this golf ball, the ball is getting out there, the launch angle is superb, I'm getting a nice bit of distance out of them as well, and I'm enjoying them, and that to me is what these things are all about. Anyway, that's 5 irons hit. I'll maybe hit a couple of sand wedges as well, and which look very, very nice. I'll show you some pictures of them in a minute. The wedge end of this game looks, so these sets rather, very, very nice indeed. Finish off with some sand wedges, and then we'll do an overall summary. Okay, so before we go any further, let's throw some images up and talk about the technology that's packed into these M3 and M4 irons. And the big thing is the introduction of the new rib core technology, as TaylorMade call it. It's basically an internal support system that is going to produce increased ball speeds right across the entire face. So again, enhancing distance but tightening dispersion. And what you've got to remember is that for us average golfers, we don't often find or regularly find the centre of the club face, so that's a great help. Here's a few more images that are going across the screen now on how the club itself looks, and we've seen again the face slots and speed pockets. That's all again jargon, I suppose, that effectively means that these clubs go a long way, are ultra forgiving, and like I keep saying, are designed to help us average golfers. Right, okay, back to my room at Hotel Almenara, great resort. This is in Sotogrande. The sun is out, it's brightened up. It's a lot different than early on this morning when I did the testing in the M3 and the M4 irons out on the course. First of all, the logic behind doing the testing on the course. Well, I felt that we kind of already know that these are going to be very powerful, lots of assistance, strongly lofted, so the numbers that I'm going to achieve are going to be, they're going to be long. We know that, it's a given. So I thought we'll skip that bit. Let's get out on the course and let's see how the clubs actually perform in the hands of an average golfer. And you got my message throughout, and like I said, the summary is going to be very brief. I'm not joining on this bandwagon of criticising TaylorMade for releasing products, because I'm of a simple mindset on that, is that the power is with the consumer. They can release clubs every week for all I care, to be quite honest with you. I've got no interest, because if you're intelligent enough to suggest that they're being released too soon, then you're also intelligent enough to make your own decisions about not to buy them. So it's a dead simple one, that. I just take the product for what it is. These M3 and M4 irons performed very, very well. And it's that simple. You know, I'm not criticising them for anything else. These clubs performed very well indeed. Whether they're strongly lofted and whether or not you agree or disagree with that, it's all a bit irrelevant. The fact is, out there on the course, I hit 5 iron, 8 iron and a sandwich. They're the 3 clubs that I had from TaylorMade on both sets. I had no problems with any of those clubs at all. And I thought they were very, very good. I'm sorry to say it, but I thought they were very, very good. I'm more than happy to take as much help as I can get as an average golfer. All I want to do is enjoy my game of golf. And if a strongly lofted iron is going to help me get the ball launched and airborne, and it'll still react on greens, which, yet again, I just want to say, I have read comments about strongly lofted irons that do not hold greens, but I've not seen nothing yet to suggest they don't in terms of when I get out there on the course. I've took enough game improvement irons now out on course, and I've measured where they've stopped, and I keep seeing the same old thing, oh, do this and do that and do the other. I can't do any more than I am. I'm taking these clubs onto golf courses and I'm watching them land and I'm watching them stop, and it's a fact. Unless someone can show me difference, I'm seeing it in reality. So these clubs are more than good enough for me, and I really, really enjoyed hitting them. I can't say, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not going to unduly criticise a product. It was very, very good. Get out there, try these yourself. The biggest difference for me, because I haven't measured performance between last year's M1 and M2. The biggest difference for me, aside from the performance, as in that I haven't measured it, is the looks, and I think they're vastly improved for me on the eye. But again, I always say this about visuals, that's very much down to the individual, but I much prefer the look of this year's model. Anyway, that's the M3 and M4 irons hit. My biggest message would be this: do not listen to that hype. Get out there and try the golf clubs yourself, and then pass comments on how you think they perform. But as ever, I hope you enjoyed, and accept my opinion. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like the video, comments down below, subscribe if you don't already, and like I say, I'll see you very, very soon on Upload TV with my honest opinion, even if it's not the most popular one. Sorry.